Okay, so welcome back. My name's Sean Connors, and this is Outsiders Part 2 of my reply to how I do my wizards. And again, just as a recap, please look at Part 1 if you haven't already done so, just to see what it's all about. And I'll try and put a link at the bottom of this video to that, and Anders' channel. This is his question, and that's what we're referring to here. Now, a next thing I'd like to talk about, which wasn't really covered off in any great detail within his stuff, is that I also use a lot of runic symbols within my games that have powerful meanings. When we talk about symbols, it can be things that you see in the book, like symbol of death and all that. That's fairly straightforward. But lots of other symbolisms that the wizards use, so that there's like a code within a code. I love wizards operating in tests and puzzles and being challenged, and I like the fact that, you know, to reach the upper echelons, it's quite a devious Machiavellian society that they weave. And again, he does hint at that in the way that he discusses his wizards, and I'm convinced that we do cover things off in quite a similar vein, actually. But I wanted to touch on my biggest problem, two big problems with both any version of D&D from Third Era into Pathfinder. Biggest issues I have. The first one is magic items. The magic item feats just suck. They're ridiculous. I've said this before in previous videos, and the reason that they're ridiculous is the fact that what spellcaster 12th level plus is going to create craft ring as per the feat, and then go and build some low level magic item based off that and spend his time wasting it on that. Why would he do it? It just doesn't make any sense. And not only that, when you reach those levels, you don't need low-level items. You need items appropriate to level for obvious reasons. You're going to be researching the much more powerful stuff because you're much more powerful yourself. So I never liked the crafting rules. That most of them just don't seem quite vanilla. So before, I brought my book along with me, and I will recap it here because it's very apt. And because I'm totally, obviously, so well prepared. Obviously, I haven't even bothered to mark the page, to be perfectly honest. Oh, another thing I did in my games, I will do this while I'm here. I've got this page here. Now, this is all about, in my book, it's all about ranks in order. Now, I like to give certain classes a rank within their society. So a good example would be things like practitioner, neophyte, zealotor, practicus, Philosophus, Dominium Liminus. It's lovely to have a name to the wizard as they go up the levels, because it just means something, and there's some great names in there that are really quite fun. So I throw those out. I've got a list of those. If anybody's interested, drop me a line at sean.connors68 at me.com, and I'll happily send you off the little list, because it's a lot of fun if you like using those sort of things. I've got ranked lists for fighters, for magic users, and for priests, which I thought was quite fun. You can adapt it how you want. That's the beauty of it. Anyway, coming back to his main point and the crafting items rule, again, some time ago, and again I'll share this with you, I've got a crafting list up here. Now, the way that this works is very simply this, that craft magic items, what happens is that the prerequisite is that the caster has to be of level 3. Okay, that's the first one. I'll just do the first one, and then it'll make sense what the other ones are all about. And what you do is you get craft minor magic items, and what that allows you to do is you can create magic items up to 5,000 gold piece in value. So if you think about that, and each of these feats, you have to have the one previously. So the next feat on is craft medium magic items, prerequisite caster level 6 and craft minor. So it's all balanced, but because you can make items up to 5,000 at third, you can make the rings, you can make the wands, you can make the odd staff, you can make things, you know. It's brilliant because it does away with so much of the other stuff, and it's one feat fits all, as opposed to needing loads of feats, which make no sense because you don't have enough of them. So that's the reason I put it out there, and again, for the same reasons, if anybody's interested in seeing the list, drop us a line, and I'll happily share that with you. Now, another thing that I've tampered with in a previous game, which hints and touches on a little bit here with wizards, and I'll share it a little bit, is I did a thing where all the players got crafting pool points, and the idea behind the crafting points was that you were able to repair, make stuffs, things like that. I thought it was a really good idea. It didn't quite work in theory. It's still a work in progress. But I mention it here because it allows some of the characters to dabble with low-level stuff, low-level potions and little bits and pieces, and some of, like, the alchemist's fire and things. It's a nice idea. I still haven't perfectly bottled this down, but I'm getting closer to a solution. So if I ever get there, I'll let you know if you're interested. So again, I share that here because it's relevant to his Magic video. The other thing about Pathfinder 3.5 3rd edition that just isn't well explained, sorry, I'm just grabbing a drink while I speak to you all, I'm going to grab it now while we've got a bit of time, is the fact that making magic items, well, I've covered that off fairly well here with my crafting rules around them, but if you actually look about what items you can craft, this gets quite complicated, and there are a lot of double talk, particularly in Pathfinder. You have to do a lot of work. Effectively, I think it comes down to, in my view, if you read the crafting, the actual crafting rules that are written at the back of Pathfinder book, this is covered off in about 5 pages, and you have to search throughout the book. There's lots of little hidden gems of information there. You have to be very careful because it's a DM. If you let the crafting rules into your game, my one's very easy because it follows the book format only. I'm only talking specifically core book items, nothing more. But you can, obviously, in the rules at the back of the book, you can create pretty much anything you like. It is possible to get a +10 item that's purely for skills. Yeah, it's possible and it's incredibly cheap, actually, in the grand scheme of things. So you can really boost your skills. And I think what I tend to do is I tend to think of things in terms of, as a GM, I've come to a consensus with a lot of powerful groups that there's obviously got to be, for logic, there are only certain things that can be crafted. That's why I create the rules I did here. So only certain things can be gained at certain levels to keep it balanced, and the same comes for when you're creating anything unusual off book spec. You know, again, it has to fall into these rules. That's why this really, really works. Having tried this out now for some time, I'm very convinced it's an elegant, very clever solution to the crafting problems that exist within those editions of the game, and I think you might find it of real relevance. Another thing that was touched on in his video, and I hope I get this bit right at the end of my video, was the fact that he talked a little bit about, all wizards being specialists and stuff like that. And, I see his logic and where he's going with that to really separate and differentiate them. I'm not so worried about that myself. But I do take the point on board. And again, he explains that very well. So it's well worth checking his video out about those differences. For me, I'm quite happy to let people decide whether they want to be specialists or not. That's their choice. But I tell you one thing I want to come back to quickly, which I think he's really hit on 2 parts actually that were very well said. The first one is that if you should roll a natural 1, you lose that spell forever. That's actually brilliant, Anders. And you know what I think as well? I think you're right. Taking away the 2 spells, because when I paused between the videos to think about this, I thought to myself, well, you know what? Why don't we, I'll probably incorporate that in my next game. I'll probably actually use that, roll a 1, you lose it forever. And also, equally, I'm thinking of actually changing it slightly, making it a little bit more tougher. So I'm actually agreeing with you, but I think the role should be a little bit different. So I think what it should be, and I'm talking natural 1 here, of course, I'm thinking that I'd probably adapt that for all spell levels. So at 2nd level, including all your bonuses. If you roll a natural 1 or 2, you'd lose it. If you 3rd level spell, natural 1, 2, 3, you lose it. Yeah, it sounds hard, but I'm dabbling at the moment. I'm thinking of outside the box. It's definitely got mileage. It's certainly something I want to use in my game, so I'm going to take that forward. And I do advocate it because I think the wizards, without a doubt, can be godlike at high level. There's no 2 ways about it. So you need to have a tough game, a tough rules, everything else, make them work for it, because they do have to work for it. And they do need to think about this, what's going on in your world. So you raise some very, very good points about it. I don't think there's much more I can really add at this stage. The video was just exceptionally good. I've got to add that here. It made me come on to do 2 videos now about it. That's how good it was. And I will upload and share those with you all very shortly. I'm just trying to scramble for thoughts in my head. Was there any final touches that I wanted to say about your videos before I go? And I think I've covered it off fairly succinctly. I think you've done a pretty good job at highlighting all the ins and outs of it. I don't really think there's much more I can say at this point. If anything comes back, I may even do a 3rd. But I just want to say thank you to Anders for a fantastic thought-provoking video. I think I may do something myself around a few things, because I think it was very good. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank everybody on YouTube for following my channel. For those that have taken the time out to do comments, as they always do, it's massively appreciated. And if you are interested in more RPG videos, then put the thumbs up, and I look forward to taking more subscribers on as and when you think it's good enough content. Anyway, take care of yourselves, and happy gaming. All the best to you all. And remember, subscribe to Anders Wood Trail or die.